I don't know why, but every time I upload a video that has the word vape or vaping in the title, for some reason you guys like flock to it. It's kind of funny because like I have so many stories from the era of like when vaping was becoming a thing, and like also when it was like, you know, the Juul era and the disposables started becoming a thing. And I haven't told the majority of them just because I thought like no one would care. I thought videos about vaping were like going to be perceived as cringe and like no one would watch them, so I just never told the stories. And then I started telling them and people are like really loving them, so I'll keep going. So yeah, I present to you another vape related story time, but this one's pretty good because it involves me a lot more than the last one did, and it involves me getting caught in school with it, which is, you know, just a classic Luna story time in my opinion. Now, I've been caught vaping in school a few times because, like I said, vapes were getting super popular when I was still in school, and there was still disposables back then, but there was like also box mods that were super popular. So like you'd run into people that either had like the really small ones that weren't really that, you know, like big and annoying, but then you run into people that had the box mods, and I had both at one point. And dude, the box mod was so out of pocket. Like, you took that thing anywhere, even if you were outside, it would bother people. I had this friend who had this crazy box mod that he built, and it was huge, right? Like, it looked like a fucking telescope. And I remember every time we'd hang out, he would be in his room with me, and by the time, like, you know, we'd be 5 or 10 minutes into hanging out, it looked like a fucking sauna in his room, and it smelled like, you know, some weird vape flavor. I remember one time we went to the movies, and I had one request. I was like, bro, please don't take the fucking box mod out while we're in the movies. And like a minute into Avengers, this dude's fucking blowing clouds, and he pissed off a bunch of people in the fucking row in front of us, and they were screaming at us. Honestly, that's a story for another time. If you want to hear the rest of that, I'll talk about it. But anyway, yeah, so vapes were very popular among my friends and people I knew from school. So this all starts off like a normal day back in freshman year. Now around this time, I was vaping. I fell into the trend because I can't lie, when vaping first became a thing, like, you know, it was getting popular, I thought it was so cringe. But then like a year later, I had 2 of them, and this was around that time when I had 2. So I woke up in the morning, and I wasn't even like really addicted to vaping yet at this point. I had 2, and I would like hit them kind of consistently, but one of them had no Nick juice in it, and the other one did have Nick, but it wasn't a lot, and I just like didn't get hooked on it yet, which was good. Like, that's a good thing. I should have stopped right then and there, but, you know, I wanted to keep appearing cool to the people around me, so I brought one to school with me. And it's so funny, because at this point, I had been caught before in school using one of them and got in trouble, so it's like, I just didn't even learn my lesson. But anyway, I went to school, I got there, I got through about, I don't know, half the day or so, and then I was at lunch with my friends, sitting at my table, and about halfway through lunch, one of my friends at my table, we'll just call him Dylan, okay? My homie Dylan at my table asks me, he goes, yo, did you bring your vape today? And I go, yeah, why? He goes, which one? Is it the one with Nick or no Nick? I was like, it's the Nick one. He goes, okay, can I hit it? I was like, right now, in the middle of the cafeteria? He's like, nah, like after. I was like, yeah, if you want to go to the bathroom or something, sure. I guess on this day, he forgot his or something. He didn't really elaborate on why he wanted to hit mine. I was just assuming that he forgot it or was like out of juice or something. And Dylan was that dude that was like actually hooked on vaping. Like, I had friends that did it for fun and like do smoke tricks and shit, and that's kind of what I was doing. But he was buying the juice with the most Nick, and he was, you know, he was breathing that shit like air. You would know you were within 5 feet of Dylan because you would just hear fucking... Anyway, so after lunch was over, me and Dylan proceeded to the bathroom, and we go in there. I take the vape out my bag, and I give it to him. I was like, all right, make it quick. I don't want to get caught. Because after lunch, people would flock to the bathrooms to go to the bathroom for class, right? I didn't want like a teacher to come in or something and see us. We had a couple like staff bathrooms in our school, but you'd still sometimes run into a teacher just because sometimes they'd go in there and make sure students weren't, you know, doing what we were doing, vaping and shit like that. Or sometimes they were just lazy and would use the student bathrooms anyway. So anyway, yeah, we were in the bathroom. My homie's hitting my vape pretty quickly, and then he hands it back to me and tells me thank you. And then I go to hit it because I'm like, all right, like, you know, I'll take a quick hit. And of course, just as I'm hitting this thing, like the second I start ripping it, the door swings open, and in walks none other than our vice principal. He walks in, and he sees the vape in my mouth, and he goes, Austin, really, man? And I immediately throw it in my bag, and I'm like, oh, hey, because I didn't see him right away, right? And he goes, hey, what'd you just throw in your bag there? And I was like, nothing. He goes, don't play stupid. Come on, you're coming with me. I was like, please, like, I will be so screwed. Don't take me to the principal's office, please. He's like, I have to. I'm sorry, but like, you gotta go. I'm like, So he proceeds to escort me out. He lets Dylan go to class. And while I'm walking out of the bathroom and like parting ways with Dylan and I'm going with the vice principal, I turn around and I see Dylan staring at me with this like sad face. And he mouths the words, "I'm sorry." Because like, we wouldn't have been in that bathroom doing that if he didn't ask me to hit it to begin with. So like he was, feeling bad that I got caught, right? But you know what? At the end of the day, man, it was my fault. So I wasn't mad at him. So I get escorted up to the principal's office. I sit down. My principal walks into her office. She sits down across from me. And she goes, "Austin, you just don't learn, do you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry." And she goes, "How many times is this now that you've been caught doing something you shouldn't be doing in school? I've tried suspending you. I've tried giving you lunch detention, after school detention. I've tried so much. And at what point do we have to start looking at other options?" And when she said that, I genuinely thought I was about to get kicked out of school. I thought she was going to expel me and like I was going to be cooked because like she was right. I mean, she did give me detention countless times and suspend me and give me in-school suspension and all this stuff, right? And none of it was really working to get me to stop doing stupid shit. So I was like, oh shit, she's about to expel me. So after she says this, I look at her with like fear, right? And she goes, "I think we need to try something else." And I was like, "What does that mean?" And she goes, "We're going to bring your mom in and we're going to talk about it." And now I'm just sitting in that chair like, fuck, dude, like my mom's about to come in. Like, this is bad. And after she tells me this, she asked me nicely to hand over the vape that I had in school, which I did because obviously I had it on me. The vice principal literally saw me throw it in my bag. So yeah, I gave it to the principal and she held that there until my mom came in and my mom could take it. And yeah, my mom comes in. My principal hands her the vape, tells her to please have a seat. My mom gives me a death stare because she did not want to be there because she was missing work to be there. And we sat down and started this very awkward meeting about my punishment at school. And I'm just sitting there in this chair wondering what's about to happen. And like I said, I fully thought I was getting expelled because what else could that mean? Like trying other options, because the only other options were like expulsion in my eyes. So my principal starts talking to my mom about how, they've tried suspending me, they've tried doing all this stuff and none of it's working. So she had an idea and she wanted to see if my mom was on board with it. And when my principal told my mom her idea, I got kind of upset because I did not expect her to say what she said. So I thought she was going to say like expel me or like put me in a different school. Nah, dude. My principal gave my mom a pamphlet to a program outside of school. It had nothing to do with the school. It was a program for like delinquent teenagers, like bad kids, right? And it's an out of school class. So I'd have to go there like twice a week after school for like 3 hours and sit in a room with a bunch of other kids and basically be told that like, we're bad kids and we need to be better and do like group activities and things. And I really didn't want to do this. You want to know why? Because I already hated going to school for 6 hours a day. I did not want to add another few hours, going to this random building at this program and basically having another half day of school, even though it wasn't school. But yeah, when she said this, I was like, no, how about we like just try suspending me? My principal's like, Austin, that doesn't work. But I do have to do something to punish you here at school, so you will be getting 1 day of in-school suspension. And I'm like, okay. So I got 1 day of in-school suspension, and my mom signed me up for this fucking program. And let me tell you, that shit sucked. I've done stuff like that before, but this was definitely the worst one. The kids there were like actual evil. Like they made me look like a fucking saint, dude. I witnessed more things at this place than I've witnessed in years at my high school. I have so many stories from this program. And now that I'm talking about it, I think tomorrow I'm going to tell one just to kind of follow this up with how insane this really was. But yeah, man, that shit sucked. And I had to do it for like almost a month. So yeah, it wasn't fun. Every day I had to go in there and, this teacher would come in and she would talk about how like we need to be better and behave better. And she would give us these like creative outlets to try and like, deal with our misbehaving. Basically her hope was like, oh, if I put them onto a creative outlet, they won't go and misbehave. And honestly, she has a point. I think having a creative outlet like, I don't know, music or art, painting, making videos, all that shit is very, very helpful for, like keeping your time occupied and keeping yourself out of trouble with something that's like, beneficial. But I don't know, man, the way this teacher was like talking about these things and teaching the class, everybody was just so uninterested. And I tried to pay attention, I really did, but the way she would teach, it just made everything sound so like torturous. I don't know, man. Like, there was one section of the class where she like tried to get us into music and like, you know, making music. And as you guys know, I make music now. But back then when she brought in the music teacher and like they were both trying to like, you know, help us learn music, I thought to myself, I'm never gonna do this shit. This shit sucks. Because the way they were teaching it just seems so like boring. But then I got out of school and now I really love it. So sometimes it's just about having a good teacher. So yeah, all I'm saying is that program sucked. Anyway, I completed it, and I'm not gonna lie, it didn't really do shit. I still got in trouble quite a bit, and there was many more story times to come after that. And yeah, it was just kind of shitty for no reason, right? Forgot to mention, after I got caught with my vape that day at school, and I had to get signed up for that program, my mom also grounded me for a month, so at home, I was also extremely bored. So yeah, all in all, everything really sucked, and I learned a valuable lesson on this day. Actually, wait a minute, what the fuck am I saying? I did not learn a lesson on that day because I definitely went back and I definitely hit a vape in school a couple times after this, maybe more than a couple. But some time later, you know, like a couple of years, I'd say, I looked back on this story time and I did learn the lesson. I was like, wait a minute, hitting the vape in school was pretty stupid. I got caught multiple times. Obviously, I got in a shit ton of trouble over it that I could have saved myself from. So yeah, the moral of the story is, don't be like young Luna. That's just the simple fact. Don't be ripping your vape in school. That's all I'm gonna say. I gotta be Uncle Luna here. But yeah, guys, that is the story time. That is the story of how my principal walked in on me ripping the vape in school. I've been caught in school before, but this was definitely one of the most interesting ones. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I will see you guys all later. Peace.